What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of GameChat, the video game variety show brought to you by Borderline Entertainment. I'm your host, Asa Green River, and I am joined today by the one and only David Giltinan.
Hey, hey, hey.
And of course, to my left, Nate is back. Nate, how are you?
Hey everyone, I'm doing well. How about you, Asa?
I'm excited that it's finally GameChat time.
Yeah.
I'm
what
happy.
time is it? It's
Game Chat time.
Got introduced like properly over here, yeah.
You know, I'm happy that I'm doing the every other week, because otherwise I just would not be able to keep up with everything. But I miss it. I miss that lull in between is a little too long sometimes. But David, thank you so much for being on today's show. We appreciate you being on. For those who don't know you, who are you?
Sure, yeah. Who am I? So my name is David Giltinan. I've been around the gaming industry for about 8.5 years now. Started off with my own blog, YouTube channel, and then I helped start Retro Magazine, which is a Kickstarter-funded publication and website. I was the managing editor for that for a little over 3 years. Then after that, I was the host for Artcast, which is short for Another Retro Gaming Podcast, and I just recently ended that. So right now I am more into the voiceover and games writing kind of space on a freelance basis. So that's a me.
That's a me, and you've got a voice for it. I don't know if I've ever said that. I know I've thought it plenty of times. I'm like, man, that's a silky, sweet, smooth voice that I want reading to me.
Well, I super appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, before we get started into the show, just a little bit of housekeeping news. This episode is brought to you by Borderline merch. That's right. You can get your hands on some fresh tees. I'm not wearing any right now, but we are currently running a fall merch sale. So find comfy sweatshirts, crew necks, long sleeve tees, mugs, pillows, whatever you want to make the season bright. Well, that's like the holidays theme, right? Make the season bright. You know what? Just
going
make the
into
season
it right now anyway. So
yeah. You know, we need some brightness in 2020, please. So the link is going to be in the chat. It's going to be in the comments below or the description. So please make sure, go check out the merch store. Once you find your item, put in fall 20 to get 20% off your BLE merch. And this goes, I extended it. I was going to do October 15th. It is going to go to November 1st. So for those of you who are asking me, I will extend it. It's happening. I want you to be able to get what you're looking for.
The season, yeah.
Tis the season. But what is the video game variety show? It is when a group of awesome people talk about all things video games in a variety show format. So from news to game creation to a talk show type deal, we've got everything that you could ever want, and we're going to kick things off with Newsbies. And we've got a pretty heavy docket in Newsbies today, starting with Xbox. And this is probably the first time that within the show notes, I've had to just put in multiple sub bullet points and just do one header. So in this whole grand scheme of Xbox, I'm going to start it off with pre-orders. All right, pre-orders went up, last week? It was the 20th, I believe. 20th, 22nd.
Around there.
Yeah. And it was funny when PlayStation had talked about, all right, we're going to release the PlayStation 5 on this date for these territories, and they're going to be available for pre-order on these territories. And then there was the fiasco where some outlets actually did it early before they were supposed to. Xbox threw some shade with a snarky little tweet, and at the time it was cute. But it seems like they're eating their words now, because there were multiple complications in the pre-order process. Now, were either of you interested in ordering an Xbox Series X or S?
I tried.
I tried too.
I did not try because unlike a lot of people, at least a lot of people who talk very loudly on Twitter, I'm not really all that excited for the next generation of consoles, at least at this moment. Like, there's just not like a reason really for me to go out and buy a PS5 or Xbox Series X or S on day one. And there's just not enough there, especially like when you look at like the games library and what's going to be available on the current gen as opposed to to like next gen. So
yeah, I know we've talked about it ad nauseum. I feel like PlayStation is probably the only one that has exclusives that are coming out that feel worthy to buy the next console.
Just not at launch, but certainly in the future.
Right. Yeah, just talking
Yeah.
specifically about launch. But with the Xbox Series X, there were a limited amount of pre-orders available. There were issues where people were getting them into their cart and then there being failures and they weren't able to purchase them. And then now we're seeing Amazon, one of the largest retailers, well, online stores in the world, now telling people that their consoles that they pre-ordered for release day are possibly going to be arriving late. And then you add to the whole, you add the addition of parents not really paying attention to what console they're buying and buying the Xbox One X for their kids. Yeah. Sales went up 747%.
I saw that, yeah. And I honestly, like, I predicted that was going to happen just because, like, the naming conventions that Xbox decides to go with
they're ridiculous.
Is goddamn ridiculous. Yeah, it's so stupid, like, how they're going about it. But that's a whole other discussion.
Right.
All right. What are you thinking there, Xbox?
Well, it would make sense if like the next generation was like Series X, Series S, but they already have like an SX, 1X, 2X, binary X. I don't know.
X,
I haven't had Xbox 360.
Yeah.
Oh
Gender
my gosh.
fluid X, whatever it may be.
I just like their tweet did not age well, and in a sea of like watching people make fun of COVID and in tweet,
Yeah.
and then 6 months later you're seeing their obituary, and you're like, that didn't age well. This also did not age well because I thought that's a good marketing move. I can't wait to pick up an Xbox. Nope.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Do you think Amazon is delaying the pre-orders because of Amazon Luna? Is this all a conspiracy?
Which, hold off on Luna. We'll get to Luna, but you
did touch upon something though. I mean, like, I do like that conspiracy theory. So.
Well, it's like there's got to be some reason. I mean, come on. For what other purpose could this possibly be happening?
Mm-hmm. I mean, it couldn't be like a demand thing, right? I mean, come on now.
I mean, that's another thing. I understand that there are limitations due to COVID. I completely get that. But you would think with these massive multi-million-dollar companies that they would have some sort of fail-safes put into place to not have to deal with this. I mean, this is something that we have, not we in particular, all three of us, but just the industry and consumers as a whole, criticize Nintendo pretty ruthlessly when it comes to like the classic consoles, the Switch, especially during COVID when people weren't able to get a Switch or a Switch Lite. You know, people were just up in arms about, oh, Nintendo's doing this on purpose. But now we see Sony and Microsoft doing it, and while I understand that it could be because of COVID, do we think that it's actually because of COVID, or do you think that they're trying to maybe inflate sales or create that demand? What do you guys think?
I think COVID is definitely part of it, but it's not like the biggest piece of the pie, if you will. I think a lot of it is just because like these companies, I mean, as you're going, you know, as you go into like each next generation of like consoles, there's always like, you know, the question as far as like how many of these should we make so that, you know, so that we don't have like an overstock. And honestly, these companies would rather have an understock and keep the demand up rather than have an overstock and like having to pay for like warehouse space and all this stuff or like, you know, excess consoles. So I think that's really kind of part of it. I think they would rather undersell, even though I think it could be Microsoft. I want to say either Microsoft or Sony, is either one of them, said that they expect to sell 10 million consoles by the end of the year. Now, obviously, you know, with COVID going on and like there's a whole underlying issue as far as like people like, you know, not having jobs and like, you know, economic crisis and all this stuff. I put that whole notion into huge question. You know, there's a lot of question marks on that for me personally, as far as like those sales numbers. Because that's definitely very ambitious, I think. And
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, like I think there's just kind of like a classic case as far as like the companies just not wanting to put just not wanting to have more consoles than they expect to sell, and so they would rather undersell. And you know, Nintendo is very, you know, is very much at large with like, you know, kind of like you know, to do that practice really. I think they do that on purpose, like at least on like Nintendo's end, because they in particular want to cut whatever corners they can in order to kind of keep their profits as high as possible. That's certainly the case for any company, but Nintendo, within the game space anyway, they're very, very notorious for that.
Yeah. Well, and then you also.
The bots too.
Sorry. Go ahead, Nate. I apologize.
I was just gonna say sorry. The bots, like.
Oh, sales
it's
bots.
So
yeah.
hard to like. I went down like a Twitter rabbit hole where there are like Discord chats where people are sharing like the bots they use and how they're able to like make such a profit.
Being very upfront and open about it. Yeah.
I
scammed you.
So excited. Like when this podcast started back up, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get the next generation, and I finally was like, I'm going to bite the bullet and I'm going to get one of them. And now I'm like, I might as well just wait until 2021, play the 4 Nintendo games that I'm kind of looking forward to until that point, and just like it's very frustrating. It's like even with Ring Fit Adventure, they did the same thing where the bots were rebuying those and selling them for $150.
High demand, yeah.
And it took me like 4 months into quarantine to like find some random GameStop in San Antonio that would allow me to purchase it from them. And so it's like, it's just disheartening that game companies want to cut corners, but people are so greedy that it's like, all I want to do is enjoy whatever game comes out. I want to be able to play it. I want to be able to play the best form of it. And I don't want to have to pay a premium just because some jerk invented some technology to make that the case.
Well, and then if you think about the rest of the year and talking about those games that you're going to play, I mean, we were just talking about Age of Calamity is coming out the 20th. I think that there are enough games for us to play to wait, and honestly, I know, Nate, you and I were talking, you were interested in the Series S, but after the specs were released of what the Series S is in comparison to like the Xbox One X, it's like, what? I'm not going to do it. And then just to have a forced segue into the next bullet point, the expandable storage capacity. So Microsoft talked about these little memory cards, which it's cool to see memory cards coming back. I don't know why I'm excited about that. But they talked about these expandable storage cards. And I think a lot of people were a little skeptical as to, why don't you just include these in the box? Why don't you just make the storage larger? That's neither here nor there at this point, because they have just released the price point for these, and they're only 1 terabyte. And let me just say my piece, and I'll let you both turn wild.
Go for it. Yeah.
These things are $220. $220 for a 1 terabyte expandable storage card. Mm-hmm. So you can get an external hard drive, a Xbox branded Seagate hard drive, SSD that is 2 terabytes that you can clock in depending on what retailer, or if you have any honey coupons, you can get it for like $90 if you can play your cards right. How on earth does Microsoft and Xbox think that this is okay? Like, this is just like, I hate to keep bringing Nintendo back into this and dragging them through the mud, but it's like if you wanted to get an SD card for your Switch, you could get the Zelda or Mario branded ones, and it was like a 600% markup on that storage capacity.
That's what I was going to bring up, yeah.
Like, what in the world? It's about the price as a Series S.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. I mean, like, the main reason behind that is because it's proprietary. That's the big reason. And Microsoft is basically
Didn't they learn
contracting Seagate in order to make the proprietary expandable storage in this case. So it's just like how Sony was with the Vita all over again in this case. I mean, like with like the memory cards on that were ridiculous as far as like the markup on that. In some cases, you'd be paying more for the memory card than the actual Vita itself.
Yep.
It was just stupid, and it just shows why it is stupid, really, to have proprietary storage in general. Which I think this particular story, this fact that only Seagate can make the expandable storage, and storage now is going to be more important than ever since you have more of these digital only consoles. That's just going to be that's going to be like a big thing, especially when you consider Sony. I think Sony has a number of different companies that are making their own expandable storage.
They do
for that, so that allows for more ability, I guess, for competitive pricing in that case. When you only have Seagate making this, then yeah, they're only going to have like the one price. They don't have to worry about competing against anyone else. So I think that's going to bite them in the ass for Microsoft anyway, especially as we get further into the next gen.
I mean, do you see anybody actually buying these?
Yeah. Of course they will. Of course they will.
Just because
people are buying the consoles themselves, right? And the consoles are already kind of like, pretty pricey considering the economy, as I mentioned. But yeah.
Oh my gosh. I feel bad for anybody who gets suckered into that. And because the external drives that Seagate does that are the Xbox screen, they have like imprinted on them the Xbox logo. I think they look a lot better. And I mean, they're the same price.
That's what you're paying for, though. Like, you're paying for the looks of it and the branding. I got a little Xbox logo on it. Cool. It's like, oh, I got to pay that much, really?
Yeah.
It blows my mind that you guys, you said it. People are going to buy them, and apparently, Microsoft has the money to do it. They have the ability and the money to let something proprietary, even though you would think they would look at the pitfalls of the Vita and not repeat that mistake, but then they're buying Bethesda for $7.5 billion. So I think they can afford to take a loss, because I think that they might take a loss. I don't know. I could be wrong, but I don't think that those cards are going to sell as good as they are hoping. But let's talk about that Bethesda deal, though. This is one of the biggest gets in the industry that I've seen in a long time.
Yes.
I was already astounded back in, I want to say it was like 2018 when Microsoft announced the Xbox Game Studios, and they were buying up all the, Obsidian and Double Fine and, creating the Coalition. And of course, they had 343 and just all the other studios. They had some really great powerhouse people behind them. But now that they're pulling in others like Bethesda, who's next? Like, is anybody really off the table? I feel like we're going to get into almost this buying war. And, we saw Sony buy Insomniac. Mm-hmm. I believe that was last year. And it's just, is that the future of the industry right now? That all of the big players are buying these devs? What do you guys think about this?
I don't like it. I think this is great because it brings value to the Game Pass. It brings value to it. I hate to say it, but I feel like Sony normally wins, and so it's nice to see Xbox do this thing that's like, haha, here's us kind of showing what we're able to do. My biggest fear is I feel like just in what I've seen on Twitter, everyone is like, Sony, who are you gonna buy now? Who are you gonna buy to show that you're better? Yeah. And it's like, does it need to be that way? This was a smart move for Xbox to position themselves to be Sony. I feel like Sony doesn't need to go, okay, we're going to go buy Atlas or Koei Tecmo or something like that. They don't need to do that. And they need to stay away from Platinum. If they buy Platinum, I'll give up. I'll fall over and give up. Platinum is trying so hard to be more independent and have their own IPs. And so in my brain, when I saw that Bethesda, I was like, Platinum. I don't know. I'm excited for what this means for Xbox. But I am worried that it's going to turn into this thing where I then have to have every single system in order to play these pillars. And I don't like the idea of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't think it's going to lead into this whole buying war, as you said there, Asa. That's something that I don't believe in, just because you're still going to have companies and studios that still want to do their own thing without having an overlord kind of dictating which projects that they work on at any given time. You're still going to have a lot of people who want to be very independent in that case. That's why we have such an indie dev surge these days, as far as people just want to kind of go out, strike out on their own and just just make their own money basically, instead of making a bigger company money, in this case. So
right.
You're definitely going to see that. And also too, we don't know as far as the extent of the exclusivity of Bethesda games going forward either. As far as I see from the quotes that are kind of been out there, we're still going to see Bethesda games on other consoles, on PlayStation and whatnot. But I think what this is really is just meant to bolster the Game Pass, and Microsoft is just all in with the Game Pass. That's going to be the future of gaming, personally. Is what I believe. that's just going to be like the future of gaming. And like Microsoft is definitely ahead of the curve in that sense, and they're bolstering up like number of studios. I think they have like 23 studios now at this point, as far as like being in their pocket for this. So that's just locking up Bethesda and all the Bethesda published titles in like their wheelhouse for that online service. That's why I believe that they will allow like a number of Bethesda games to be available like physically or digitally, whatever. For like $60 value, whatever, but they're going to put that up against the fact that like, oh, but we have a $10 per month service that you can access these games right now. So would you rather pay $60 like lump sum, you have the game, whatever, or would you rather pay $10 a month? You can play it. You could probably play through any game within a month. You know, so like, what's the value there? And like, that's what they're going to stack it against.
Yeah.
Which
so
is
it's definitely a smart move on Microsoft's part.
That's a great play. Because if you look at the next generation of games, they're already hinting towards. I mean, I feel like it's been said publicly that the standard pricing is going to be $70.
Yep.
For games moving forward. So I'm thinking of Starfield or Elder Scrolls 6. Why would I pay $70 plus dollars to play that? Or to own that when I could just do it on Game Pass.
Well, it depends on the game too, right?
Right.
I mean, like as far as like a game like that, like Elder Scrolls 6. I mean, think of Oblivion. Like, how many hours did you pop into that?
Right.
So I mean, like, would it be more worthwhile to like just own the game? You play, you pay your lump sum, you own the game, and so you can kind of like take your time. And that's like the type of game that you would want to take your time, explore, and soak in the world and all that stuff. If it's a game like, I don't know, what's like say like Doom or Wolfenstein or whatever, you're gonna like romp through it like in like a couple of weekends, whatever, and probably be like done with it. That's where like the Game Pass, I think, like really kind of like shows like its value in that case. But either way, I mean, like it's good for gamers, I think, in the long run. As far as like this, this like service, and certainly good for like Microsoft. It's good for Microsoft, like on that front. I'm just kind of worried as far as like the developers are all kind of like wrapped up under this umbrella, and how Microsoft will treat them. Like, I'm not entirely sure like what the future is going to hold with all this going on, as far as like everything being under like one umbrella. I guess like part of it too is like my skepticism, like say like with like Disney buying up like everyone pretty much, and like what the future of like Marvel Studios is, of like ESPN or whatever. Like what's going to happen with these if like all of a sudden like they're not meeting certain sales numbers. Like, that's kind of like my worry about it, really, on like the dev side of things.
And I know that this is a new Microsoft, but you had said it earlier, David. I worry about what kind of restraints or constraints Microsoft will put in some of these studios to make certain games. Like, if we think back into the early days when they had Bungie under their wing, it was like, hey, you're going to make all of these Halo games. And when Bungie was done and they left, they're like, well, they obviously continued with the IP with 343, but that was part of the problem between them and Bungie, is that Microsoft just wanted more Halo. Now, again, this is a different Xbox. This is a different Microsoft. But you do start to wonder about that a little bit. What does this mean for those devs moving forward? And I think big developers like Bethesda, I don't really think that they have much to worry about, because they have pretty much solidified their IPs. But gosh, I can't even think of some of the smaller ones that they have. Maybe Double Fine, but even Double Fine's they're not small, compared to,
smaller compared to like the other
smaller
studios,
compared to Bethesda.
Double A, if you will.
Yeah, Double A. But yeah. So, Nate, any other thoughts about this one?
It's going to be interesting to see. Maybe we'll get some Bethesda games all up on the Switch, because Microsoft loves the Switch. We'll see.
That's true. We have not seen the full. We haven't seen the full force of that relationship yet. I still feel that there's going to be more to come between Xbox
Game Pass on the Switch. Excuse me.
Oh my gosh!
Gotta get my Mario on an Xbox.
Master Chief and Smash.
Master Chief and Mario.
Ooh.
Right?
Are they gonna be friends?
Believe it or not,
around in Animal Crossing? What is this?
Believe it or not, that is just one item on the Newsbies docket. So, in Newsbies fashion, we have to rank these Xbox stories. So, where are you guys at? Extreme hype, definite intrigue, mild interest, or absolute boredom? I'm at definite intrigue myself. I think that there's a lot of great stuff here, but I'm a little hesitant on some of their business practices.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I'm with you actually, like on definite intrigue. Definitely not like super hype because I don't know. That's kind of like makes you sound like I'd be like an Xbox fanboy or whatever. Like, it's
Right.
like, oh my god, they're so powerful now. Phil Spencer's king and whatever. I'm definitely not in that sense, but certainly intrigue. Definitely has like have like a lot of intrigue. So definitely like a level, I guess, below the extreme hype. In this case, so yeah.
I'm gonna go extreme hype simply because I want to see what tweets come out of this.
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
Them and Sony,
So
like
many quality
that's
tweets.
been helping me the dark days of this world. Just their back and forth and the memes. So I'm extreme hype for that. Definite intrigue for the rest.
If 2020 belongs to anybody, it is the community manager.
Yes.
It is the social media manager. Oh my gosh,
Hey,
yes.
Fall Guys, come on now,
Right? All right, next item, Newsbies docket. The Nintendo 3DS sadly is being sunsetted. It's a sad day, but I think the writing was on the wall when the Switch was coming out. We knew that the lifespan was going to be limited from here on out, but it's still a news beat that hit kind of hard for me. I was sad to see that they were discontinuing the 3DS, mainly from a collector standpoint, because I still don't have that Hyrulean Shield new 3DS XL. I'll get it someday. Or new 2DS XL. There's no 3D on that one. But
okay.
yeah, end of an
I
era.
know I have like a Zelda one, but like it's like the gold with like the Triforce like logo on it or whatever.
Yep. I had that one and then traded it in for the XL one that came with Link Between Worlds.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That is seriously one of the best games.
Oh yeah, hands down.
That needs to come out on Switch. Honestly, I would definitely play that again on Switch for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I think we can take extreme hype and morph it into extreme sadness if we need to.
Extreme sadness.
So, I mean, let's just reminisce just a little bit. What are some of your favorite memories of the 3DS and anything that you want to see ported? I know we talked about Link Between Worlds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Link Between Worlds, I think, is probably like my number one game. I would say on the 3DS, like on the 3DS library in that case. But for me, I mean, like the whole reason why I even picked up a 3DS, and I will say this, which might surprise you, the 3DS was actually my very first Nintendo console since the N64. I was off like Nintendo for a long while since the N64.
Really?
That's a revelation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I did not own a Nintendo console since then, and then I got 3DS because I heard I heard through like the grapevine that you could play NES games on the 3DS. It's like, oh cool, I want to play NES games on the go. And then there was like the upgrade, like with like the system or whatever, like with where it had SNES games on there as well. So it's like, oh cool, I can get like Earthbound on there, Final Fantasy VI, whatever. So like that was worth it to me, like being able to play old games. Like it was kind of like the reason why I picked up a Vita, so I could play PlayStation 1 games on the go,
Yeah.
So I could have like a PS1 machine, like that's portable, so that's like the whole reason behind it. But being able to play a Link Between Worlds, I mean, A Link to the Past is my second favorite game of all time, so having a spiritual successor, I mean, that was like a no-brainer. So that's where like a lot of my favorite memories I say are from that. Also too, picking up Pokemon Moon, which with as part of like Pokemon Sun and Moon, like that was actually my first Pokemon game since Pokemon Blue back in the old school days, okay. Gen 1. Yeah.
Dropping
I know.
Just dropping these bombs here and there. But no, like the whole reason why I picked up Pokemon Moon was because I really, really wanted to do a Nuzlocke run. And so like that was like the only reason why I want to play any Pokemon game like at all. And I was just like, well, there's this new Pokemon game that's coming out. Like I'll pick up Pokemon Moon and do like a Nuzlocke run, and it was a lot of fun. So it's really, really cool. Until like whatever that cow Pokemon was like completely wiped out my team. So I was just like, well, I got to start all over now.
It just makes me think of was it Erica, the trainer from Gold and Silver that had the Miltank that would just
Miltank, that's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Miltank with rollout. Ugh, it's giving me nightmares.
Absolutely destroyed me.
Nate, your 3DS love, let's hear it.
So I have to, full admission as a Nintendo fanboy, I never owned a Nintendo 3DS for more than like 2 minutes, and I had a 2DS. So I bought a 3DS when it first came out, I bought the shiny teal one. I thought it was so cool. It looked like Sailor Mercury's little computer. I thought it was the most badass. And then 20 minutes into it, I threw up. And so I was like, well, I've got to sell this now. Because it was the 3D was just killing me. And I was like, I already have a DS. I'm fine. So
I mean, did you know that you could turn it off though with the slider and all? Or?
To me, I was like, it's not worth it. This is the future. The future is not me. So I sold it to some woman on Craigslist at like the Barnes and Noble. I thought it was so cool because I got full price for it.
Wow.
And I didn't have a DS for so long, like a 3DS for so long, until the 2DS came out, but not the one that folds, like the one that looks like a like gun toy.
A brick.
Yeah. And so I played a few games on it, but truly it was a link between worlds. That was like my end all be all, where I was like, I will purchase this simply to play this Zelda game. And then I used the virtual console to play all the other Zelda games too. But it's like, that will always be like a Nintendo or a Zelda machine for me.
Yeah. There was
like end all be all.
There were so many good games on the 3DS. Man, that blows my mind, because that means that you probably missed out on like 3D Land, Fire Emblem Awakening.
No, I did play 3D Land.
Okay. It was a phenomenal Fire Emblem machine with Awakening.
My first
Fates.
Fire Emblem wasn't until Three Houses, though. That's the only Fire Emblem I've ever played.
Okay.
I mean, I think like Awakening got like a lot of good reviews and stuff, though, right?
I've heard great things about it. Asa, I have a text from you that's like a list of games I need to play with Fire Emblem on it, but I have yet to play it.
Awakening is the one that when was it rumored? I feel like it was rumored probably a few months ago that there was going to be a remaster of a 3DS Fire Emblem onto the Switch, and everybody wanted Awakening. I want Awakening, but I would love for it to be like Awakening and Fates together, because I feel like Fates was a little bit underrated because everybody always only talks about Awakening for the most part. But yeah, oh my gosh, there were so many good games on the 3DS. And talking specifically about the 3D, I loved Face Raiders.
Face Raiders.
Face Raiders was like the built-in little 3D thing. You take a picture of yourself, and then there would just be like little hovering bots in the air with your face on it.
I remember that one.
Yes, and you'd have to turn and shoot at it.
That's right. I remember messing around with that, and I immediately just got rid of it, or just ignored it, or whatever I did. I don't know. I messed around with it. It's like, okay, let's play some real games now.
Yeah. But the Street Pass functionality was also fantastic. I would love to see Street Pass come back. I don't know if the Switch has the internal capabilities to do that. But yeah,
this might not be like the best timing for
no, obviously
in human history.
You know what? Screw quarantine. Give us Street Pass and we're out there.
I mean, Pokemon Go does like the same thing, so whatever, you know.
Hey, to Pokemon Go's defense, they have done a lot. You can do remote raids. You don't actually have to leave the house. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's because of quarantine, I've stopped playing Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Stay.
Pokemon Stay. But yeah, I'm gonna miss the 3DS. I'm in extreme sadness. Even though I haven't played it in a hot minute. I did play 3D Land not too long ago, because I did that. We ranked the 3D Mario games with DualShockers, and I think we put 3D Land at the very bottom. I didn't think it belonged on the very bottom, but I was like, yeah, man, I feel bad for this game, so I went back and played it. But yeah, missed the 3DS.
Being able to play the DS games on there as well was like a big deal. As well, because that was actually like the first time I got to play the DS version of Chrono Trigger, which I mentioned, like A Link to the Past is my second favorite game of all time. Chrono Trigger is number one for me.
Wow. Okay.
And being able to play the DS version of that finally, because I heard all the good things about it, but I didn't own like a DS or anything. So when I got 3DS, it's like, oh, I could play Chrono Trigger on this. It's like awesome. It's like, so pick that up, and it's just like, yeah, it's a cool, it's a great version of it, honestly.
I actually have not played Chrono Trigger since the Super Nintendo.
Gasp.
I've never played one.
Okay.
What? Okay, so
I will. Like, it's on the Switch online, right?
It's on Steam as well. I mean, like, it's very accessible right now. It's on Steam, yeah, and like
is it on Steam for people with Macs, or is it only on like real Steam?
It's on real Steam. Yes, you can get on real Steam. But yeah, the original Steam release of Chrono Trigger was not good at all, really, because it was basically like a port of the mobile version, and
I've
that
heard
doesn't
bad
translate
things about that.
well. But they did fix it, and so like now now like a lot of people kind of consider it to be like the definitive version of it, like along with the DS version. So,
But does it feel like
'cause
heresy to not play it on a Nintendo system?
if you can get past that, then sure. Yeah.
I might have
Honestly,
to.
like, the only thing that's heresy is like the fact that Frog, he doesn't speak in like the Anglo-Saxon accent, like
Oh,
thy,
yeah.
thou, and all that stuff. Like he doesn't speak like that in like the newer versions of the game, which is like a little whatever. But I can get past it.
Yeah.
So.
Does he speak like that in the DS version? Because I'll just go buy.
Nope.
Okay.
No, I think it's only the Super Nintendo version he speaks like that. I want to say, because I think they changed that starting from the PS1 version.
Gotcha. Okay. Man, well, that's a bummer. Never mind. Not gonna go
Things
get
are
that
changing
now.
too fast.
Way too fast. This game came out at what year?
1995, 1996.
1995. Oh my gosh. All right.
Yeah, 95 actually. Yeah, that's right.
Next item on the Newsbies docket, Amazon. Nate, you had talked about it a little bit before, but it is now, we knew that this was happening. Amazon said that this was going to be a thing. I just didn't expect them to like stealth announce it this past week. But Amazon Luna, their cloud-based gaming contender to Stadia and now Game Pass, is real. And it seems like it's pretty cheap, but will it actually compete? So let me read this a little bit here, and this is on Inverse. Just a few things about it. Luna is estimated to use 10 gigabytes per hour at 1080p. So I don't know what that means for you in 4K, if you're, how many gigs that's going to use. But it's also going to work at both the 2.4 gigahertz and the 5 gigahertz, for your bands on your internet. They have a huge slew of games that are coming out day one with this. And so far, it seems like it's your basic, like, hey, these are free games for you to play. Like, not downing these at all, but the Shantae games are on there. The Steam World games are on there. Like, these are all great games, but these are games that I would expect to see on a free service. The Surge games, Bloodstain.
Free, subscription-based, but yeah.
Right. Oh, yeah, sorry. So it is free to try. You can get a trial.
Okay.
But
freemium, if you will.
Yeah. Freemium, yes, that's a better word for it. But they did say that Valhalla, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Far Cry 6, Immortals Rising are going to be coming to Amazon Luna. So, I mean, those are new titles. It's not just going to be a, freemium machine. So, it's interesting to me. I mean, it's going to work on PC, Amazon Fire TV, Mac, iOS, pretty much any and all devices. Which is more than you can say for at least Game Pass right now, that they are no longer on Apple devices, and in fact I don't think Stadia is either anymore. So it's interesting. The controller looks like a Pro controller. You can get the controller for $50, and it looks like it's $4.99 a month, or shoot, is it $5.99?
Well, when Luna was like announced on Twitter, the Switch Pro controller was actually trending instead of Luna. So that just like shows how much hype there is for like this new Amazon console. It's just like a real, like, honestly, like it just kind of feels like kind of like another Panasonic 3DO kind of thing. Like it has like that kind of stink about it to me, as far as like, oh, we're just gonna just like throw it out there and we think that we'll be like successful just because we're just doing what everyone else is doing. But that's the problem. You're doing what everyone else is doing, and you're not setting yourself apart. Like you don't even have any like exclusive games, at least not out now anyway, or like going to be out at launch. They do have like the potential for it anyway, because they do have I think like 2 or 3 studios under their umbrella. But yeah, otherwise like there's literally no reason, because you could play these games anywhere else, or they're already out on anywhere else. So
yeah, I think this is, at least me personally, I feel like this is built for the casual consumer who isn't going to go buy a home console. Like, hey, we've got a Fire Stick, let's do that. Okay, well, just go buy an Xbox.
How reliable are Fire Sticks, though?
Right.
Sorry, I didn't say that. I want to know, is the left joystick going to have a drift? Or did they fix that when they stole the Pro controller's total design?
I mean, at least they put the buttons in the right order. That's the one thing that has just always got me about Nintendo controllers. Like, come on. Put A on the bottom, B on the side, X on the other side, Y on the top. Don't turn it
That's
over.
been old school. Like Nintendo kind of like made that whole design, and then like Xbox came around and like flipped and and then flipped it around, like with having like A and then B,
Yeah.
and then was it X and Y? So
Yeah. Well, they flipped it in a way that worked perfectly for me.
Yeah. It works for my American brain. Thanks, Bill Gates.
Is anybody excited
right where it belongs?
Are either of you excited for Luna at all? Are you going to try it out?
I'll try it out because I can do it on my Mac.
Yeah.
That's something that I haven't been able to do with any other cloud-based service right now. So I'll give it a go. I want to know, though, if my Switch Pro controller will connect, because I don't want to have to buy a controller specifically for this.
They did say you can use
like
Bluetooth controllers, but I don't know. Can you use the Pro controller as a regular Bluetooth controller?
No, I don't believe so, because I think it's a proprietary cable that connects to the Switch for the Pro controller, and I don't think it'll, if like when you're trying to wirelessly connect, I don't think it'll be able to recognize anything else but the Switch in that case.
So you can with the new MacBook, because it uses a USB-C charger.
Oh,
so
okay.
you're able, because I did it the other day to.
That's right, it's USB-C. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did it the other day to connect something, but it's a little laggy.
Okay.
At least with what I was trying, and I don't know if it was the platform.
It's not like built-in support or anything like that, is it? No. Okay, that's okay. So you need, you still need some sort of like third-party platforms, support tool, whatever, in order to make that work. Yeah.
Okay. So Nate, I mean, you could just get an 8-bit controller.
Yeah.
And then use it for your Switch, because they're really good for the Switch.
As long as you don't mind like A, B, X, Y's and all over the place.
Oh yeah.
I'll just
don't mind that. Yeah.
Take the controller apart and move the buttons.
So I'll probably try it for a couple months. I mean, that's what I did with Apple Arcade. It's what I did with Stadia, just so I can not pass full complete judgment without understanding like how it actually plays or having that firsthand experience.
Do you still have Apple Arcade?
What's that?
Do you still have Apple Arcade?
I canceled Apple Arcade like 2 months ago.
It was a good service. I mean, like, it was definitely a good service, like, when it started out, because, like, again, it comes down to the games, and they had exclusives on there.
Yeah.
Namely, for me, it was Exit the Dungeon. Like, the fact they had, like, the Enter the Gungeon sequel on there is like, oh my god, like, because I love, Enter the Gungeon
was phenomenal.
Yeah, I love anything Gungeon, honestly. It's just like, that's like my jam. And so when Exit the Dungeon was an Apple Arcade exclusive, it was like, well, all right, I'm gonna get Apple Arcade and just play it on there. And that's how you get people to come onto your platform. It's just now, I think, with Apple Arcade contracts running out for developers, now developers can bring their games anywhere they are, because money. And Apple's just like, well, shit, do we have anything else on the limelight here? Is like I don't think they're really kind of taking it seriously in the long term in that case.
No, they're not.
Unfortunately, but
they're not paying. They're not re-upping contracts. They're not buying anybody else. So I don't think.
But out of all the like different subscription services kind of out there, at least like between Apple, Google, and now Amazon, Apple seemed to kind of had like the better idea in mind, at least at the beginning. And now everyone's kind of like homogenous and just doing the same thing, just copying each other. So
yeah. Like, I would probably end up getting Apple Arcade again if I was traveling. Like, when we went to Colorado, I basically just lived off of Apple Arcade and my Switch. So just having those to go back and forth. But yeah,
like an iPad or whatever, just like have like a controller attached to it or something. Or...
Yeah, that, or just depending on the game, just using the touch controls that they have. But yeah, other than that, and I use a PS4 controller with my phone or iPad. So
that works.
Yeah, it works. Like I said, I'll try it. I'll be interested to see how it works out. But let's move on to the final docket, or the item on the docket is IKEA. IKEA isn't normally a company that I would associate with video games, unless I was like building a stand for my consoles to put on display. But they are partnering up with Asus. Well, actually, more specifically, Asus's Republic of Gamers company division. And they're making affordable gaming furniture accessories. This has me, I'm just going to say it right now, extreme hype. Because I don't know if people have noticed, I have this basic office chair that I have to just pad with blankets and sweatshirts and jackets so I don't stand up with like cracks and doubling over in pain. So the fact that I could possibly get a gaming chair that's not going to cost me an arm and a leg, I'm so excited for this deal. Do either of you care at all? Have you been to the IKEAs?
I mean,
I
I've
love
had.
IKEA.
Oh yeah, no, go ahead.
Sorry, I love IKEA. I don't know if I'm too casual of a gamer where like sitting on my couch does the job, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it from a perspective aside from like streaming and playing games on my PC, but just working on my computer and not having to sit in a horribly uncomfortable office chair or dining room table chair. Like, I just want something that's going to give me good lumbar support. That's going to go. I'm a tall guy, so like coming all the way up here would be nice. Yeah,
You just need one of these antique parlor chairs found by a dumpster.
that doesn't move with my body whatsoever.
You got different needs there in that case for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, I am. I'm not really a big IKEA fan in general, just because like I just have like bad experiences with trying to put like together like the furniture. And I don't know. I think everyone kind of has that story. It's just like, oh yeah, like putting together IKEA furniture is like, oh my god, what did I get myself into? It's kind of like the Deadpool movie all over again in that case. It's yeah. I mean, like it's cool, whatever that they're doing this. I'm sure, like there's like a business reason. Like they figures like, okay, we can infiltrate this market through our furniture, and we can make cool furniture that's based around gamers' lifestyles, whatever, and have like gamer chairs and whatnot, and desks and whatever. I could probably use a new desk myself, honestly. So maybe I'll look into that if I don't have to build it myself. But it's yeah. I mean, I have very very little hype. I guess I'm like somewhere between like. In terms of like the ranking anyway, I guess between absolute boredom and mild interest, like even milder interest.
Milder interest, yeah, that's good. Well, let us know in the chat, in the comments below. Are you extreme hype, definite intrigue, mild interest, milder interest, or absolute boredom with these news items? But it's time to hop over to what's in the box. What are we playing? What's in your Switch, Xbox, PS4, PC? Are you playing on an N-Gage? Are you playing on your 3DS to relive old memories?
Played N-Gage once, yeah.
Nate, what are you playing right now?
I am playing a couple different things. I'm playing the 35th anniversary Super Mario All-Stars 3D. It's fun. I do not like playing Galaxy with the Pro Controller. I like playing it handheld because I prefer to use the touch screen versus the motion control. But
have the GameCube controller for it though. You can get like a GameCube controller for because you can get like a GameCube controller for like the Switch in order to kind of play it more.
I need to pick one of those
legitimately, if you will. Yeah,
that's true. I need to pick one of those up. Yeah, no, so I'm playing that, and then I also bought right before the sale ended for the Nintendo eShop Hades by Supergiant. It is so fun. I don't even like roguelikes. And it is like, I think I've only attempted like 7 escapes. I don't even know anymore. I don't care. It's so beautiful. It's so fun. Everyone should pick up that game. It's $25, not on sale, which is like not $70.
$70. It's so worth it though. It's so worth it. Yeah.
It's worth it. It's so fun. I will probably replay this game often. So that truly like, that has taken me away from Super Mario Galaxy at this point, like entirely. So.
Supergiant Games is great.
I love Supergiant.
I love Supergiant Games. Greg Casavin over there is an awesome guy. They have super talented people over there. I've been a big fan of theirs ever since Bastion. It's just like this is a company. So this is like a studio to like to look out for when I first played. When I first played Bastion. And then, there's Transistor and Pyre, and Pyre is just like, what is this weird, like, fantasy-themed sports game kind of thing going on here? And, like, I just absolutely loved it. It was so good. Voice acting's great. Music's great. Art is amazing. They just hit it out of the park every single time.
I have not jumped into Hades yet, but, of course, my Twitter timeline is exploding. And I love Supergiant. I think the only game that I have not spent of theirs extended time on has been Pyre. And it wasn't that I didn't like it. I think it just came out at a time when I was playing a bunch of other games. But Transistor is probably one of my all-time favorite games. It's easily in my top 20. I'd have to revisit that list, but yeah, I'm so excited to try Hades. I've played them all on PlayStation devices, not to be an elitist whatsoever.
You Sony pony.
I know. I don't. So there's just that part of me. It's like, oh, I kind of want to wait till it comes to PS4 and play it there. But then I'm going to miss the hype train. I'm going to experience serious FOMO. Nate, you're talking about Hades. I don't know what to do with my life.
I mean, it plays well in portable, but also on the TV too. And I never finished Bastion or Transistor. I own both of those games on multiple platforms, and I thought they were good, but they did not keep my attention the way that I think Hades will, because it's iterative. Like, if you die, you go back and people remember that you died, and they're like, oh yeah, you tried to beat those skeleton brothers? That sucks for you.
It's roguelite in that sense, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was just so well done that, like, they remember that you messed up, and I like that.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played enough of Hades to form like a super opinion on it, really, but a lot of people are saying this is like Supergiant's like magnum opus so far. So yeah, like I could certainly see it from like the little I have played of it. So,
and the combat seems very Transistor-like, which has me very, very excited. Totally, I loved that combat.
It's back to the roots, but it's like expanding on those roots, if you will.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
It's a little more fluid than Transistor 2.
Yeah, because Transistor had like a very kind of like stop and go kind of play style. Like they were kind of do like turn based, but also action based, you know. But this is just like straight up action, pretty much. So
okay. Are you playing anything else, Nate? You want to talk about?
That's it.
All right, Dave, it's all you. What are you playing?
So I did play through and just beat actually Mafia Definitive Edition.
My gosh, I want to play it so bad.
So it's really good. It's really, really good. It definitely has like some issues here and there, but I never played the original Mafia back in 2002.
Oh, okay.
I got into the Mafia series kind of late. When Mafia 3 got announced, I was like really excited for that. And so to prepare myself for it, I played Mafia 2. And then I played Mafia 3. And I like Mafia 2 a lot. I think Mafia 2, honestly, out of all the Mafia games I played, like Mafia 2, Mafia 3, and now Definitive Edition of the first game, Mafia 2 is probably like my favorite one, honestly. And Mafia Definitive Edition, I think, is like second for me. It's really, really good, really well done. They did an awesome job remaking that game, remaking the world. The voice acting. I know some people have like some qualms, some issues with like the voice acting, but I think it's just more of like, I don't know, maybe like their mind's eye, maybe like just not seeing certain characters speaking in a certain way. I think the voice acting's great.
Personally. Yeah, from what I've seen, really the voice acting is a lot better in the Definitive Edition than in the original. And I thought the original was kind of stilted. Some of the acting was a little off.
It's the era when that came out in, so like it makes sense in that case. So yeah, obviously like they were able to like clean that all up. Have like better voice acting in that case. The visuals are great. The only issue I have really is just like the gameplay is kind of like still a little bit stilted. Like it still kind of feels like a bit stilted in some cases.
Okay.
You'll have like some bugs here and there, but that's kind of par for the course. I feel like for Hangar 13 games, like their games are polished, but not like so Mafia Definitive Edition, it's a really good game. Honestly, it's a really, really good game. Definitely one I would highly recommend to check out, whether you are a fan of the original game or not, or if you haven't played the original game. That was like the whole reason why I wanted to pick it up. The only thing, I'm not sure if either of you played the first game at all. Yeah. Okay. So Sarah, the wife character. She is a really, really cool character in Definitive Edition. I don't know how she is like in the original game, but I really, really loved her character in Definitive Edition, and I just wish there was more of her, honestly.
Okay. I don't remember caring about her too much, so I wonder if they maybe added a little bit more.
They might have, yeah. It's just like in like the dialogue, especially like there's like one scene, I won't like spoil it or anything, but there's like one scene where you come home and she notices something, and her reaction to it is really, really cool and genuine, especially when the way she acts towards you when you first come home, and then when she realizes that something's up, and like that scene alone is just like, oh my god, I just want more of this. Just give me more of this. It's cool to like have like your shootouts, whatever, car chases, all that stuff. That's all cool and everything, but I want more of that drama with like the wife, and the wife just like like, where's her breaking point with her being married to like a guy who's like such a prominent figure within like the organized crime and all that. Like it's really, really cool. So
yeah, I love when there's really good character moments within a game.
Yeah, this is full of it. Honestly, it's just really, really good. Polly is a really good character as well. I love Polly.
I was begging 2K to send me that that package that they were sending to some people. I'm like, come on, 2K.
Was like a horse set or something? Or...
They sent like
hey, review our game. Here you go. If you know what's good for you, you'll give it a high score, all right?
That's actually really cool. Why I got disconnected is because I did not review the game, and my time was up.
See?
He's expendable over here.
Got power. Let's whack him.
Let's whack him over here.
All right, let me get to what I'm playing. I always mess up the names. I got to look it up. I've actually been playing a mobile game a lot recently. I don't know what it is about it. It's just been so addicting to me. So it's called Polytopia. And
Polytopia, okay.
I think it's probably like $5 now. But it's similar to Age of Empires, probably more to Civilization than it is Age of Empires.
Like strategy type of game.
Yeah, strategy game. It's very simple. You can play it one-handed. Of course, being a mobile game, it's got some microtransactions. So you've got a set of races that you can pick from. But then if you want the whole slew of others, I believe that you can unlock them. I haven't really paid attention because I just play it for the strategy of it. I don't really care about who I get. Although I did pay for the fairy race that you can take animals in the area and turn them into like a minotaur or anything like that. So, I mean, that was cool.
Nice.
But it's just so much fun. It is so much fun to like dive into something that's like that deep of a strategy, but it also is incredibly accessible. I hate to say, but it's like a fantastic pooping game. If you're in the restroom, you're going to be in there for a while.
One-handed and everything. I mean, like I figure it'd be like on the toilet or some other extracurricular activities, if you will.
I'm just, I'm one of those people that I used to. I got to just reverse even more because I have to set the stage after that. So I have.
What stage are you setting, sir?
Yeah, I have irritable bowel syndrome, as well as a slew of other like stomach issues. So I spend a handful of hours of my life sitting on the toilet. It's just the cards that the stars above have dealt me, and so like playing games in the bathroom is just like a regular thing for me. When I was a kid, in my parents' house, my bedroom was across the hall from the bathroom. So if nobody was home, I would set up a mirror on the counter across from the toilet and open up my door as wide as I could. And I bought wireless controllers and I would just play inverted. So then I could play games from the bed. That's
like a skill right there. It's like a talent.
And then it got to the point where I'm like, I'm tired of like having to squint. So I just started like, okay, I can feel my stomach's acting up. I would take everything, set everything up in the bathroom. Whether you think it's disgusting or not, I'm like, hey, I'm going to be in here for an extended period of time because my stomach's...
honestly.
Yeah. And it was phenomenal. And this was to give people some sort of picture, this was from the N64, PS1 era through the PS2, Xbox, GameCube era. Because then the wireless controllers was a thing, and I was like, all right, I'll stick with my mirror thing. I don't want to do all that. I care too much. I don't want the red ring of death on my 360 in the bathroom. That would just be like the worst thing ever for whatever reason.
Right.
But
now the Nintendo Switch, you can just...
And so features now
to like bring it full circle, I did have my handhelds in there. So I played a ton of 3DS, a ton of Vita in the restroom. For some reason, I wasn't playing my Game Boy a lot in the restroom. Well, that's not true. I was doing my Game Boy Color a ton. But I don't know what it was. Like, I didn't want to bring my Switch into the bathroom with me. It was because I was an adult. I'm like, the bathtub's right there. There's a sink right here. There's just too many hazards. I don't want to destroy this beautiful piece of tech. So like I did it a couple times when like I couldn't stop playing Odyssey or Breath of the Wild. So mobile gaming just became like the de facto gaming setup for me.
Default for you.
Yeah, the default for me. And so this has been my muse lately is Polytopia. It's so good. Right before that, played a lot of Sayonara Wild Hearts. Even though after I beat it, the soundtrack is just so good I couldn't stop playing
Really
it.
good game. Yeah.
I love that game.
Grindstone, ended up buying Grindstone after I canceled Apple Arcade because of the game. Another one that was just so good. Lara Croft Go, Hitman Go.
I like those Go games, honestly.
Yeah, the Go games are so good. They're so good. And Polytopia is the one that I'm playing now. On console, of course, I'm playing the 3D All-Stars. I'm in Sunshine, deep into Sunshine right now. And I've seen a lot of people being like, hey, I'm going back to the game, and it's not as good as what I thought it was. Those people just are jaded. They don't know what they're talking about. Sunshine is a delight. It's not perfect, but it is not the worst 3D Mario. And then, other than that, I'm playing so much Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk, yeah.
Yeah, 1 and 2, the remaster. I think it's probably, I'm just going to say it without like diving too far into the recesses of my mind, the best remaster that has ever been done. It is phenomenal.
It looks impressive, honestly. I haven't played it myself, but like it looks impressive for sure. And I love those games back then. So
if you love those games back then, buy it. Don't even think about it. Buy it because it is the perfect balance of feeling like it's like riding a bike. You're just right back into it. You're there with an old friend, but it still feels, I don't know how they managed to keep everything from before, but to make it feel so new and fresh. The last time that I had that was Resident Evil 2, the Resident Evil 2 remake. And that was
my game of the year last year, honestly. It was so good, like the way they did that.
And now Tony Hawk is contending that for me. So
if you're playing more mobile games, I would also highly recommend to check out the Ace Attorney games if you haven't yet.
I love the Ace Attorney games.
Yeah, they have like a lot of the Ace Attorney games on mobile right now on iOS, and it's really, really good.
I'm playing
through Apollo Justice right now
on Switch. Are there any other games outside of the trilogy that are on?
Yes.
Like, is the crossover with Professor Layton on there?
Not that. No, that is a 3DS exclusive, I believe.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, no, they have. They have Spirit of Justice, which is like the newest one that came out 2017, I think.
Okay.
They have Dual Destinies on there. They have Apollo Justice, which is what I'm playing through right now, and they have also Ace Attorney Investigations, which is where you're playing as Edgeworth and you're going around like solving crimes yourself, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically like it has like awesome sprite work on there too. Like it's just like a sprite of Edgeworth and a sprite of like a Gumshoe as well, and like they're like interacting with each other, and like it's an Ace Attorney game but without the court part of it, basically. So you're literally right there in like the crime scene and you're like pointing stuff out and like solving the crimes and all that stuff. So it's really, really cool.
I'm gonna have to check that out because I really do like Ace Attorney, and that it sparked. I really want Elite Beat Agents to come to mobile. I feel like that would be a ton of fun too.
It would make sense.
Yeah. I feel like that's a game we're never going to get to see come back again.
Never, ever.
Never, ever.
We don't deserve it.
Let us know. Let us know in the chat. What are you playing right now? Let us know in the comments below. Is there a game that you're playing that we should be playing that we should check out? What is in your box? But we're going to move on to... Dang it, I shouldn't have said it like that. Why did I say that? It's time for Make It or Break It. You guys give us the prompt, and we make the game. David, you're going to be our game designer, our game lead. And the prompt that we are given by the community is Console Wars. That's it. Okay. So however we want to make the game.
Debate,
however we want to do it. So here's what we have to walk away with. How is the game played? What is the storyline? Who's making the game? The title, and lastly we'll pass it off to the community again. They gave us the prompt, we give it back to them with the game, give us the cover art. So I'm
kind of like the team lead of the developer.
Yes.
In this case. Okay.
So we all have to agree on it because we're all on the same team, but ultimately if it's like Nate and I are debating, you get the gavel of deciding where it's going.
Gotcha.
So Console Wars, as we were talking about Phoenix Wright, I thought, wouldn't it be cool to see Console Wars in the courthouse?
Yeah.
But that's just me. What do you guys think? For Console Wars, what kind of game would you want to see within that?
I need a little bit more insight into what you're saying, because I'm intrigued in what you're saying in terms of it in the courtroom. I have an idea that's very different, but I want to hear more about your idea.
So what I was thinking is really making it a parody on life And whether it's like Xbox versus Nintendo, or sorry, Sega versus Nintendo, Xbox versus PlayStation, whatever it is, have them come to you're in the courtroom and you go back and forth between witnesses, and like they're all made up of like fanboys, the evil journalist. Like you just get these big caricatures of the consumer base, and really making it a parody on life. And ultimately, it's like whoever wins, it's nebulous. It doesn't matter. You're not.
Sounds like a show pitch.
anything.
Really, they should be like keeping close to your chest, like developing or something. Like this parody of the gaming industry, the fanboys and the evil journalists. Like
Judge Judy is the presiding judge.
There we go. There we go.
I'd buy it.
But what was your idea?
Oh, I was totally went like a Fire Emblem's 3 house, where each console is a different house, and it's very old school, like tactical.
It's a
like
legitimate
that.
war.
And then like Stadia and Luna, I guess Luna can either be DLC or they can just be like the tertiary nonsense that's like they're like the mercenary raiders that come in and we're like, go kill them.
Yes,
because they're done.
The mercenary raiders should be made up of just all of the rejects that are not the 3 standing pillars. Agreed.
And Steam can be the Cindered Ashes or whatever that was the DLC that lives in the basement. Yes. I don't know. I almost want to see them all fight like an old timey garb that also is colored to their specific console. I don't know. But I also like the caricature idea of it being like an Ace Attorney game, because I mean the console war, truly it's like Sony and Xbox are like whatever, because it's the toxic fan base that's like truly what's like them versus everyone else. So
I'm gonna take that and I'm gonna put them together and let me know what you guys are thinking. So
I mean, I'm here for it.
You know how in 3 houses it does the time jumps? So what if the game starts off with the Ace Attorney? It just starts off with the courtroom stuff. And it is, even though it's in the courtroom, it's old-timey courtroom, just so we can make sure that we're predating everything.
The wigs. Can and
it's,
be the wigs?
It's yes, the powdered wigs. They're like 30,000 feet high above their heads, and they just drape down. And it just escalates and escalates, and then it gets into just full-blown warfare, like you're talking about. There's schmoozing going on. I love the idea of having like the Ouya, Stadia, Luna. Why do they all sound the same? all of the rejects are going to be the barbarians. I think that is perfect. I mean, do you think that we could blend them together? I like that.
I think
so. And I want Atlas to make it.
Yes. God. Send it. The end. Like that would be because I can picture too, like even with like Microsoft and Nintendo being friends and like kind of like some Microsoft stuff going on to the Switch so far, and how they're like trying to be buddy with crossplay, like very much how like the Golden Deer likes to kind of like saddle up next to, I think that could be intriguing.
I think that this needs to be a Flash based game. it has to be on the internet, like on an internet browser, because there's no way that these, I mean, unless you can think of
Steam at least, right?
I guess it could be on Steam. Yeah,
okay, there we go. Something. I don't know.
It's a PC only game about the console wars, which is perfect. So that way they kind of maintain that master race mentality of, we have a game about all of you lesser folk.
And you can only play it here on PC. Master Race Rise Up or whatever. I'm all about this idea. I definitely like the strategic element added in there. So definitely a big fan of strategy games, which I will also mention too, actually, Other Side. That's another game you should definitely play.
Yeah.
Other Side's really, really good.
I've heard of Other Side.
Yeah, if you like XCOM style games,
I love XCOM style games.
That's the game you want to check out. But like with like, like kick-ass like women like fighting against like H.R. Geiger inspired like enemies, like it's just amazing. It's so good. But anyway, yes, I am all for this idea, and I will pound the gavel and give the green light.
Yes. And I want their I want their armor to be very on brand. So like Xbox is just like
Right.
metallic black with like the
Okay.
green accents everywhere, and
Right.
maybe the Nintendo side can have, depending on if they're like foot soldiers or if they're like the Royal Guard, they could
Should be
have
like Samus armor, right?
yeah, they could have Samus armor, they could have NES, they could have the Famicom, just like different tier soldiers get different tiered armor.
I just want every time they take on their helmet or take off their helmet, it makes the Nintendo Switch clicking sound. That's all I want. It's just like
It has to be very tongue in cheek, but it takes
yeah.
itself too serious.
What are we gonna name it though?
Oh yes. Oh wow.
And console wars, right?
Because I think the subtitle, no matter what, and this shows that I'm trying to be like a basic millennial, needs to be the subtitle needs to be there's some wars in this house, like making fun of WAP. But like it's true because each house you have like my brother was like I like Xbox and I was like Nintendo all the way, and we ended up getting a Wii because I had a better argument. So like
So it could be the console wars, and then add in your subtitle, and then it could be
Ultimate
the lesser
knockouts, like from Fall Guys.
yeah, or the lesser than thou edition.
I like that because then it's back full circle to you having to play it on a PC.
Yep. Solid. So
There you
wow,
go.
we bang that out
Console
quick.
wars, master your race.
Master your race.
Well, and back to the armor. I almost feel like Sony needs to go like a stormtrooper route. With the
Oh,
PS5
yes.
controller.
Mhm.
They need to be they need to look very futuristic, but their weaponry and everything is very traditional because they are not going to try anything too different.
But it has to light up blue, and then as they start to get hit and hurt more, their color changes to yellow. They light.
Mm.
Yeah, I like that. Like the PS4, yeah, the light bar.
Mhm.
Okay.
Well, I'm sure that these are like kind of like it's kind of like tech armor as well too. So you got like power it up. So when you power it up, it makes like the classic PS1 logo kind of sound to it. You know?
Oh yeah.
I'm here for it. The Nintendo plays the DK rap every time that they
Yeah, 100%.
Oh,
Get
no.
Grant Kirkhope in there and just like play it live.
Why? No, please. Okay. Well, I think we have solidified it. I'm gonna rewind it just a little bit past the DK rap and pretend that everything else after that just didn't happen. But it's up to you in the community. What's the title? What's the game? The card? What's it gonna look like? Because we're gonna take this entire pitch. I don't know anybody at Atlas, but I'm gonna ping everybody that I can find if I search Atlas, and we're gonna send it off to them because this needs to be a reality. And maybe Valve can make it since they're not doing anything. They can
Probably
publish
they're
it.
doing anything. Yeah. Besides running in the entire platform.
Yeah. But let us know what's the next. Give us the next prompt. What's the next game that you want us to make for Make It or Break It? But we're going to move on to my favorite. Where we take a trip down memory lane, again with a prompt given to us by you, the community. And the prompt for this episode is my favorite high score moment. So any type of game, I think, would fit into this category. What is your favorite high score moment? If you two need some time to think, I've got mine.
Yeah, I think I got mine now too, actually.
Nate, do you have yours, or do you want us to go ahead and go and let you think?
I have mine, but I would love someone to hear someone else's because I'm very bad at high scores. So start at my top.
Fair enough. Do you want me to start off then?
Yeah,
or?
go for it, David.
Okay. So the one that came to mind for me was there was a Blockbuster tournament. This was back in 94, maybe 93, 94. It's when Donkey Kong Country came out, basically. So it was a Donkey Kong Country Blockbuster tournament, and I was part of it. So basically, there was a special version. Like if you look this up online, there's actually like a special cartridge for this Blockbuster tournament for Donkey Kong Country. Where you are basically in a level and you're trying, and it's like time too, and like normally Donkey Kong Country doesn't have like a time or anything, but this cartridge does, and so the whole idea is to collect as many bananas as possible within like the time limit. So it's kind of like a speed run collectathon kind of thing. And so they have you come into Blockbuster every was it 3 times? Yeah, they have you come in 3 times to try to beat your score each time. I ended up being second in the state for like for like my area, whatever.
Wow.
But like it was like second in the state basically. So and it was in Massachusetts. So there was like one other person in Massachusetts who had a better score than I did after my second time playing.
That's incredible.
And so when I was playing my third and final time, the store manager was like watching me. There was like a group of people like around me watching me, just kind of see if I was able to beat the score. I wasn't able to, but like I did learn like after the fact, because I guess they didn't want to like psych me out. Like when I was doing my third and final time, they're like, "Oh, you actually came in second in the state." There's like one other person in some other town or whatever that got a better score. It's like, oh man, well, all right. I'm glad I know that now instead of earlier. So
yeah.
But it's really, really cool. And that's definitely a cartridge that if you're a big like gaming, like retro gaming collector, that's a really good one to add to your collection for sure. It's not easy to find, obviously, but it's one of those like kind of bragging right kind of things. So
I'm gonna have to add that to the list. I've always wanted to get the World Championship cartridges for the
World
NES.
Championships. Yeah.
I've always wanted to get some of those.
Which one though? Like the standard gray one, or like I think it was like the gold one was the other one? Or...
Yeah, I feel like the standard gray one, only because of price point. Like that gold one's going to be incredibly expensive.
I mean, they're both expensive, but yeah, the other one's obviously more expensive.
Right. It's like one's 5,000 and one's 4,000. Okay.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Nate, you want to go?
So and this is you're gonna go, oh gosh. So I cannot remember the name of the game, but about 4 years ago, I was in Taiwan, and most magical place in the world, 10 out of 10, one that retired. And we were in some wonderful mountain village, and they had an arcade there, and there was this game, and it's a giant circle, and it's like a touch screen, and it's like Dance Dance Revolution, but with your fingers, and stuff is going like all around.
Sounds like Paradise.
It might be. I need to Google it and see what it looks like, because it's
like where you move like your hands like through like the laser, like where like in between like the circular things, you have to like move your hand, the swipe between them.
Yes.
And all that. Okay, yeah. That's Paradise. Yeah.
Okay, so it's very, very fun. But we were there, and the people had these like gloves. Like they put on these little like cotton gloves.
Yeah, my gamer gloves.
And I was like, how serious is this game that you have to wear gloves?
There's
and
some
then
serious
sure
people
enough,
out
after
there,
like 2 playthroughs, my hands are bleeding. I'm like, you need gloves. But I did get a high score after much frustration, and it was really, really fun. But it was just like the most random game I've ever played. And I want a cabinet in my house of that game, because it was so cool. It was so fun. And I thought, I did this without those cotton gloves. It was like sleep deprived, jet lagged, all the above. So it was a good experience. In terms of other games, I don't have a lot of high scores. And so it was one win for me.
So that might be like one of those like gloves that Nintendo gave out to people who complained about their hands getting ripped up of playing the Mario Party game. Yeah.
Yeah. Nate, I've actually seen that machine.
It's really cool. Like this guy just like waltzed up, and he like whips out these gloves and puts them on, and I was just like,
it's like Michael Jackson all of a sudden. Yeah.
This is what it takes. Like, I'm not here for it.
You better bring your A game if you want to play some Paradise up in here.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was pretty good. But Asa, I was trying to guess what yours would be, and I was out of it. So I want to hear what yours is.
I know. I have so many. No, I did have a couple that I was tossing between. But before I go to it, because I don't want to forget to tell you. So as soon as there's a cure for COVID and all that stuff, and conventions and public gatherings are taboo or not non-taboo again, there's an event in Pittsburgh called Replay, and it is incredible. It's just like, it feels like it's in this giant airplane hangar. It's just in the convention center there, and it's just like wall-to-wall arcade machines and just old school like gaming consoles and pinball machines, and that game was there, that Paradise, and there was a line to play it. You pay a flat fee, and then you can play everything unlimited all you want. So
it's like the Portland Retro Gaming Expo as well. They allow you to do that as long as you have like a badge, basically. So,
yeah, it's phenomenal. Reagan and I went a couple years ago to go to Toon Fest, the Toontown get together. So that was a good time. All right, so my favorite high score moment would probably have to be So this was probably a handful of years ago. It was back when I worked at a summer camp. And in the summer camp, on the hot days, we took the kids over to the roller skating rink. And so while they were skating, I'm not going to say I wasn't paying attention, but I didn't have to fully be watching the kids because I was one of the, not the executives of the camp, but like the administrators of the camp. So I was really there to, yes, help watch the kids, but then help watch the counselors. And just be like that, be a presence. But there were arcade cabinets that were in the rollaway, and of course, like they had like the little driving truck one. I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called, but they had like the 4 wheels. They had the one that has like not a million, but like 5 or 6 games on, including like 7 Samurai. I remember that for some specific reason. But they had the X-Men fighting game.
Was it X-Men Children of the Atom? Or
yes. Oh.
X-Men versus Street Fighter?
No, there was no
Marvel
other
superhero
Capcom characters
versus
in it.
Street Fighter?
It was
any one of those, honestly.
Yeah, it was just X-Men.
It's the beat 'em up game you're talking about then.
No, this was a fighting game.
An actual fighting game. Okay.
An actual fighting game. Shoot.
That sounds like it's either Children of the Atom or X-Men versus Street Fighter or Marvel superheroes versus Street Fighter.
I think it's Children of
Marvel
the Atom.
versus Capcom. Yeah. Okay. Was it just X-Men characters?
Yeah, just X-Men characters.
It's Children of the Atom then in that case. Yeah.
Yep. Yes, this is it. Okay, so I was playing that game all summer long. And there was one day, and this is like, obviously, it's a small town. I don't think there's too many people going in there to try and break records, but it was still a big deal to me to take Iceman from the beginning to being the top leaderboard. And there were some high scores on there. I feel like typically when you go to an arcade machine, there are like the basic scores that they just default to have you beat.
Right.
But no, there were people who like someone... obviously put their initials in and worked really hard to get that top spot. But me having my name be Asa, it just felt so good to just play long enough that I can put ASA at the very top. And I wish I would have taken a picture. But the one rule of the camp that I decided to follow that day was to not have my phone on me. I don't know, like I'm playing arcade games. I don't know why I didn't have my phone. But no, it was, I just remember like kids being around me watching like, oh, he's going to die. And I would like have a sliver of life left and I'd win that fight and move on to the next one. And it was just like, and then there were some fights where you would actually keep that health for the next fight that would come in.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I don't know
if maybe like at the end with the boss fights maybe? Because I remember it was like Juggernaut and then Magneto was the last one.
It was Juggernaut and then Magneto. And so getting to the end, beating Magneto, having that high score was an incredible moment. And I was like, you know what? Clock me out. Are you guys, you got this? You can watch these kids? Because I'm done. I did what I needed to do today.
Job done.
I don't typically like to go back to the skating rink there just because it's super dirty and that carpet has been there since I was like 5 years old. Wow. But I would go back just to play those arcade games. So yeah, that's awesome. That's my favorite moment. Let us know in the comments below or in the chat. What is your favorite high score moment? But we're going to move on.
Iceman honestly is like the character to pick in that game though, because if I remember correctly, he is the only character in that game who doesn't take chip damage, like damage when he's blocking. So yeah, he's definitely the guy to go with in that case.
Well, and I feel like from that game moving on forward into like every Marvel vs. Capcom, he's always had like the giant ice ball drop on that does way too much damage.
Boulder thing.
Yeah, like I don't know why that they decided to make that a move. Because it's I picked Iceman because I liked Iceman, but little did I know that I really picked Iceman because he has like one of the cheapest moves, and
he's pretty cheap in those in like the early games anyway. Yeah.
So no wonder I got the high score. Small town, picked Iceman. What did I expect to happen?
But he knows the tech. He knows like the hierarchy of characters.
Look at his frame cancels, and I don't know the fighting game lingo, and he wears a glove so he doesn't get calluses on his hands.
It's always the arcade people who have like gloves on for whatever reason. They're like super professional guys.
I just want to screw Dave & Buster's. I want to have like an old school arcade game that's just nothing but those old school games where you have to wear gloves if you want to be good.
I mean, there are more of those types of places opening up, honestly. I mean, especially with the barcade scene opening up all around the country. So
gosh,
I need more Dance Dance Revolution though, because you're
talking my language. You're talking my language with that. Yeah.
Has DDR, and I mean I get it because I played DDR at a barcade in Florida, might have been inebriated, might have fallen over. I understand.
That's the best time to play, honestly.
Sober, I want to play that game. This Just Dance nonsense where I hold a controller in my hand. No, I want to feel the beat and I want the light above, below. I just,
So there is a barcade that's in Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island, called Free Play, and they have a DDR machine there. It's DDR Extreme, actually, so one of the better ones, in my opinion, anyway. So they actually have like disco lights like going off. Like it's like the machine itself is actually up on a stage, and they have like a disco ball above it, and they have lights going off. So like it actually gives you the vibe of like being in like a nightclub or whatever, even though there's like arcade machines all over the place.
Yeah,
they did this special thing for like a DDR machine there and an In the Groove machine over there as well.
That's all I want in life.
Yeah, and in light of COVID too, like I actually had to make my own DDR setup at home. So like I dug up my old PS2, my old pad. Like it's a metal pad that I used back in college that still works to this day. And just play like the DDR machines there, like or the DDR games there. Like I have like 7 games, I think, like from like PS2 and 2 from PS1 that I play.
I've got a couple on PS2 and 1 on the original Xbox, and I didn't get the metal pads, but I did get the thick foam pads.
Yeah,
it was like the next step up, and I remember like vividly where they are. They're in my parents' garage, which is like I'm never getting them back. On top of the freezer. So yeah, that's a lost cause.
Buried in there, yeah.
I did make sure to grab when I moved out my Mario Dance Dance Revolution. So I've still got my GameCube plugged in. Mix, yeah. So I'm gonna play some Mario Mix and
that's cool.
Shave off the pounds with that one.
Best cardio, man. Yeah.
It is. I remember distinctly. There was the Ultimate Video Game Countdown on MTV back in the day. Hosted by Sean Baby from EGM then.
I worked with Sean Baby, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. And
for like it's for Retro Magazine, so.
Okay. Oh man, I have so many questions out. I mean, I've listened to that episode with Dan Chu of the Artcast probably like 2 or 3 times. 'Cause I'm like, those I remember. I wasn't there specifically, but I just remember reading those magazines all the time. So hearing those backstories was
stories were great in that episode, yeah, totally.
But yeah, so like in that. I don't remember where DDR landed, but whenever they had talked about a game, they always had like some random person talk about like their story for like why that game was important to them. So like when they did Final Fantasy, it was like cosplayers. When they did Halo, it was people doing like LAN parties. But when they did DDR, it was this lady who she had talked about. I played DDR every single day for an hour for like so many days straight, and I lost all this weight. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I never stuck with it. But I feel like Ring Fit Adventure is that thing for people. But
yeah, these days for sure.
Yeah, these days. But yeah, DDR was just such a fun way to get that cardio in.
I will share a quick story though. When I used to work at an arcade that was right next to Gillette Stadium, so where like the Patriots play. So I worked at the arcade there, and Ty Law, who's a former Pats player, came by, and there was like a bunch of kids like surrounding him, whatever, like Ty, whatever, like they wanted like his autograph and stuff. And I came up like beside him and asked him, it's like, hey Ty, are we gonna see you on the DDR machine? And he's like, nah, man, that shit's too fast for me. I'm like, too fast, you're a football player. I imagine there's like something in their contract, like if you get like injured playing, doing anything else besides football, then like you're off the team or something like that. So yeah.
That's funny. Well, David, it's time to put your video game knowledge to the test.
Oh boy.
And against Nate, no less. It's time for Big Bet Trivia. Don't forget, you can play this at home. Just order on Amazon or wherever you can find it. Ultimate Video Game Trivia. I don't know if it's in focus, but there it is. It's a lot of fun. They've got games from the Atari days up until the Xbox One days. So the games cover pretty much every single generation.
So I did mention I used to host a retro gaming podcast.
Yes, yeah. So Nate has his work cut out for him, and I don't.
Right.
I shuffle it, and I take a card off the top, and then that's the one that we go with. So
I only ever win when I guess, and I'm not sure of it.
I know.
That's the only times that I've gotten points in this game.
And I don't know if I feel good for you in this moment, but
I don't feel good for me in this moment. I'm okay.
Just to explain a little bit to the viewers and David how the game works. So I'll read the question. Whoever buzzes in, and you can, wave, make a buzz sound, whatever you need to do. You'll get the chance to answer first. If you get it wrong, immediately goes to the next person. If you both get it wrong, we then go into the hint round. And so I do 3 hints. If you guys don't get it by the 3rd hint, then it's nil. No one gets the point, and I'll just tell you what the answer is. So, all right, here we go. Developed by Ubisoft Montpellier and released in 2014. Which puzzle game explores the intertwining lives of 4 playable characters against the setting of the First World War?
Yeah.
Yes, Dave.
Valiant Hearts.
Valiant Hearts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Phenomenal
I played that before.
game.
It was a really good game, actually.
Yeah.
I just had to remind myself, oh yeah, I played that. It's a really, really good game. So yeah.
Nate, I mean, I told you I didn't feel
You
good.
said World War One, and I was like, it's gone.
Yeah.
I can only think of 2 games that I played.
World War One edition. I don't know.
I mean, once you said World War One, and I was thinking you with Ubisoft Montpellier, I was thinking wait a minute, I might know what this game is. And when you said 2014, it's just I think it's that game. I wasn't entirely sure yet. And then when you said World War One, it's just oh yeah, well, how many games are based on World War One?
I know. I was like, there's only 3 that I've played that I can think of that are based off of World War One, and that was Valiant Hearts, and then Toy Soldiers on the 360, and then I feel like Valkyria Chronicles, one of those was in a World War One era. I mean, it looked the part. It might not have actually been
a Battlefield game that was based on that, or Medal of Honor or something like that.
That's true. Battlefield 1, I think, was actually in World War One. Oh yeah, my gosh, a major franchise. But I actually did not play much of Battlefield 1. So.
Yeah, me neither. I played a little bit, but that was it. So
I was like, it's more Battlefield. I'm over it.
It's more of the shooties.
More of the shooties. But Nate, you don't get a point. David, you're on the board, which goes to the guest slot. And then hopefully, we've talked about it a handful of times, at the end of the season, whenever it is, we're going to try and have as many of the guests come back as they can. We're just going to have a giant trivia session. We're just going to play some video game trivia and just have a good time. But we're moving on.
We're
wrapping up
episode,
the show.
honestly, in that case. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll just make it an episode. It'll be a bonus one for the patrons. Yeah. We're gonna wrap things up with the out this month. I'm gonna run through the list. Obviously, we're towards the end of the month, so if it's something that's already been out, you can just ping that as the game that you're the most interested in. So MTX versus ATV All Out coming to Switch, Doraemon Story of Seasons, Marvel's Avengers, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2, Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning, Outer Worlds Peril of Gorgon, Bounty Battle, Redneck Ed, Astro Monster Show, Inertial Drift, BPM Bullets Per Minute, Spelunky 2, Mario 3D All-Stars, Earth Defense Force 5, WWE, 2K Battlegrounds, Unrailed, Untitled Goose Game gets the co-op update, Serious Sam 4, Mafia, Definitive Edition, The Walking Dead Onslaught, Baldur's Gate 3, and Tennis World Tour 2.
Woo.
David, will throw it to you first. Out of that list, I think I know, but what is the game that sticks out to you the most?
I mean, I did mention with Mafia Definitive Edition, that was definitely, I would say, the game out of that whole list. As much as it might annoy some Nintendo fans out there, Nate, the Mario 3D All Stars wasn't something I was super super excited for. I'm definitely looking forward to playing it at some point. But my favorite Mario game of all time is Super Mario World, followed by Super Mario Brothers 3. So I'm just kind of like a 2D purist a little bit in that sense.
World is my favorite, so.
Yeah. Otherwise, though, Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning. Now, this is a game I feel like a lot of people slept on, and now people get a chance to play it. Have another chance to play it.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I definitely want to play through this game again. It's really, really cool. It's really, really cool. It was made by 38 Studios, which was the studio that Kurt Schilling headed up, and basically stole a bunch of Rhode Island taxpayer money in order to kind of keep running. It went bankrupt, and there's this whole rigmarole, all this drama behind it, whatever. I remember back in my early blogging days, I did a whole write-up doing behind the scenes actual journalism into what was going on behind the scenes for Kurt Schilling's studio, just because I was really I really love the game and what the studio itself was doing, but obviously with the management of Kurt Schilling and everything, it's just oh my god, it's war zone over here. But yeah, if you haven't played Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, definitely pick a Re-Reckoning. And if you have played it, then definitely play it again because it's just that good of a game.
Yeah. I really want to play Re-Reckoning. I didn't finish when it came around the first time. I think I'd probably played maybe 10, 15 hours of it. But the combat is very fluid.
Pretty far in it then, in that case, yeah.
Well, that's 10, 15 hours of not just story. 10, 15 hours of...
Yeah, I can bullshit around.
Yes, yeah, exactly, yeah. Like when I tell people that I put in over 1,000 hours in Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, most of that was just screwing around.
And they said amateur.
I think I had played Oblivion for probably like 3 or 4 years before I actually finished the main quest, because I was just doing everything else. But Nate, I think I'm not going to speak for you, but what are you picking out from that list? Yeah.
Well, so I'm gonna switch it up because I would have said Mario 3D All Stars, which I was excited for, but then Hades has totally taken that over. But I do think I'm gonna pick up Untitled Goose Game because it's on sale.
Oh yeah.
And
have you not played it before? It's the best 2 hours of your life, pretty much. That game is amazing. That was actually like my runner-up actually to my game of the year last year, behind Resident Evil 2. It's really, really good. Yeah.
How much is it in the sale?
It's on sale right now, so I figured I'd finally pick it up.
Even more of a reason. Yeah, it's well worth it.
How much is it on sale?
I think it's only like $15.
Okay. I might have that much in like gold points, so I might just snag it.
Yeah.
It's well worth it. It's well worth it. It's like, it is a super, super short game, but it is absolutely enjoyable from front to back. It's an unbelievable experience, really, in that case. Like it just makes you laugh and smile like all the way through. It's so good.
And visually, it gives me like Katamari Damacy vibes, and I loved the Katamari games. So, and I loved Donut County as well.
Donut County is a really fun game too. Yeah. So I like that.
Cool. I didn't know it was on sale. I'm probably gonna pick that up now. Thanks, Nate. Oh my gosh. All right, and me, I'm gonna go Spelunky 2. I really liked the first Spelunky. I realize it's a completely different franchise, but SteamWorld Dig 2 a lot more. And I feel like from what I've seen of Spelunky 2, they pull just a lot more into the game that I felt was missing. So I'm excited to go into Spelunky 2 with a renewed vigor. So let us know what you're really excited about that's coming out in the month of September, whether it's already come out or it's coming out in the next couple days, whenever you listen to this. And that pretty much does it for our episode. But I would be remiss if I didn't do our community spotlight, where we highlight you and the Borderline family who is doing something truly awesome. And today we're going to highlight Soap. He's a streamer. He's playing a lot of Valorant. He's been gold tiered in Valorant. So he's just a really great family member, is always willing to support other people. So please go support him. Twitch.tv/soap_NA. But now, David, it's to you. Camera 1, camera 2, camera 3. We're pulling the Hot Ones thing. This camera. Tell the good people what you have going on in your life.
Sure. So as I mentioned earlier, I am more focused on voiceover and writing these days. I do have a podcast project that I'm looking to get off the ground once I'm finished with this audiobook project, which I'm working on, which I will mention here actually. So basically, I am doing the audiobook version of my friend David Craddock's "Stay a While and Listen To." That should be up on Audible sometime in the very near future. I think like around, sometime next month it'll go up. But I'm just finishing that up. It is basically on early Blizzard history back in the 90s when they were making StarCraft and Diablo 2 and all the drama that was going on. And trust me, there's a lot of drama that you want to hear on that. So it's a really, really cool project, really, really cool book, and hope you all enjoy that. So
that's going to be a day.
And aside from that too, you can also find me on Twitter at @theguiltyman, and my website is logicallydashing.com if you want to check more out on what I'm all about. So yeah.
Awesome. Nate, where can people find you?
At the Nate Pretzel on Instagram and Twitter, where I will be doing the things.
And you can find me at agreenriver07 on Twitter and Instagram. But if you want to follow anybody, please follow Borderline Entertainment. Search it, wherever you need to. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. We are everywhere that you are. And stay in the know for when we have next episodes of Game Chat, when we have streams going on and other projects that we are currently working on. Thank you again so much, David, for being on this episode. It has been so much fun. Would love to have you on again soon. And thank you all for listening, for watching, no matter where you're consuming this. We really appreciate you. We're putting a lot of work, and you guys are making that heard. So we love you all. And above all else, be well, Borderline family. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Cheers.